Hey guys, Danish Kasamali here. So I just finished doing my MBA 2 months ago. Got my diploma in the mail. I did a 4-year MBA program at the University of Southern California. Trojans fight on. So one question I get asked a lot by fellow young professionals and aspiring entrepreneurs is, should I start my MBA or should I do my MBA? So the way I answer that question is, do you want to get a job in corporate or do you want to be a business owner? If you want to get a job and move up in your company or move up in your salary, whether that's in a different industry or even in the same industry, better job and better pay, then it might be a good idea for you. If you want to launch a business, then I say don't do it. And the reason I say that is because today, if you want to launch a business, you really don't need that formal education, that MBA to do so. You need confidence in yourself. You need a smartphone, a really good iPhone or whatnot that you could take pictures and videos with and tell your story and share your product with. And you just need that will from inside. And a lot of people ask, what about the network and the connections? See, if you put out content today on Instagram and YouTube, like which I've been doing, the network I'm building through my social media is the network that I'm using for my business, because those are people engaging with me and I'm engaging back. So to start your business, to basically go back to school thinking you're going to start a business after that, I think is it could be a little counterproductive for you. So just speaking from my experience, the program I did was 3 years. It took me 4 years to finish because I took a little bit longer because I was trying to focus on my business in my 3rd and 4th year. But basically the way it went down was I would go to school, go to class in the evenings, and I would learn from textbooks, and I would sit in the classroom with a bunch of my fellow classmates who were not entrepreneurs. 98% of the fellow classmates are looking for a better job. So I was kind of taken back by this whole like business, like they call it the masters of business, but it's really like, if you're gonna be in that program, if you want to get a better job. If you want to launch a business, you can go and launch your business. You don't have to have that formal education. So what was happening was I would go to the classroom and I would learn things through the textbook and through the lectures and through the case studies and seminars, but they wouldn't be daily applicable to my business. The things that I needed to know for daily for my business was more things I was learning on YouTube from entrepreneurs like Gary Vaynerchuk and Raise the Entrepreneur, even small guys like him, or Evan Carmichael's content. And what that was doing was that was giving me like real life world examples of people today doing things for their business or motivation I needed to, like, you know that it's going to be hard being successful at your hustle, and being a successful entrepreneur is not easy. So by plugging into YouTube content and getting self-education outside of the classroom, I was able to set up my mind actually more so for success. And by plugging into content like from Gary Vaynerchuk or a video influencers page, which tell you about, how to put out a good YouTube video, how to put out a good Instagram video, like from listening to those kinds of things on YouTube myself on my way to the school, or at night before I went to sleep, or in the morning on the way to the office, those pieces of content helped me a lot more and were way more applicable for my business than what I was learning in the classroom. My 3 favorite things about the MBA program, speaking about some good ones, we had one professor who required us to update our LinkedIn profile. That was really good. So he made us have a minimum of 500 connections, have a really nice profile, picture, description that goes with all your work experience, and have letters of recommendation. So that was a positive. I did that because of the class, and then I kept up with it after. So, but again, you can do that social media kind of work on your own if you really apply yourself. Another good thing about the program, I learned like empathy, and there was a negotiations professor that was really powerful, and he taught us some tricks and things that I did apply in my kind of personality and in my business approach, to be a little bit more empathetic to the other party, whether that's an employee, a customer, a vendor, and kind of see things from his point of view before acting on my own. So and then the last thing is the name, like having that USC diploma in my hands and being able to put those letters next to my name, that feels good, and that was a lifelong dream of mine to have that. So those are probably my top 3 things. But again, it cost me $120,000. It cost me a ton of time every week. I kind of put the time in my head, like if I had 2 classes a week, every week I was 4 hours in the classroom, an hour to drive and park, and an hour to drive and park back. So that's 6 hours, 2 days a week. That's 12 hours right there. Plus, even if I was slacking off, I'd probably spend 3 to 4 hours outside of the classroom preparing and kind of doing my classwork or whatnot. So that's a good 15, 16 hours a week. If you have a meetup or more, you're talking about 20 hours a week. That's a part-time job. 20 hours a week is no joke. So once that came off the table and I was able to spend 10 of those hours building social media, and those other 10 hours just taking care of myself, like my body, going to the gym again, just feeling good, having me time, like I felt like, wow, like life is actually good again. During the MBA, it was truly a struggle. Like I had no time. I was always pressed for time, stressed. Even like my second year, I remember I went through like a depressionary state because I just felt like I had way too much on my plate and I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So what I did was I slowed down and I took 1 less class my 3rd year. Each semester I only took 1 class, and that's why it took me 4 years when it normally should take people 3 years in the part-time MBA program. So yeah, the costs of time, energy, and your financial obligations, those are things you really want to think about, especially if you're going to start a business. If you're going to start a business, my best advice is just start. Like, write out your ideas, your business plan, use notes in your iPhone to make folders of different ways to market and sell and source the product and whatever you got to do, and then just give it a market test and try it. Post on Instagram, post on Facebook, create some YouTube content around what you're doing, and like go to trade shows and network within your industry. Like you don't need this sort of classroom environment to network, because the reality of it is, let's talk about networking for a second, because the reality of it is, when you're in a classroom with 30, 40, 50 people, everyone that's all in different industries and work things, and you're sort of trying to mesh with everybody and build this network. But if you go into a room where there's 30 people that are all in your industry, like in my industry, it's the t-shirt printing, sublimation industry. When I go to a trade show and a room with those kind of people, we're automatically bonding, we're clicking, we know what we're talking about. They might know of me from my YouTube videos and from my content. So it's like 10 times easier to like build something and do something together than sort of like start from scratch and try to make like a network or relationship at school in your MBA program, especially if you're busy. And I was very busy, so that was one thing that made it really tough to connect and bond with everybody. Great, thank you. And one for the cameraman. Yes, sir. So, it's a hot day. I got my cold, iced mint mojito from Phil's Coffee. And back to the topic at hand. So yeah, that was my experience. I would describe it as pretty rough and rigorous, especially trying to run my business. My initial thought was maybe I would look for other jobs, but then I didn't even end up doing that. I didn't bother. I was like, I made a decision that no, I'm going to focus on building Silky Socks, building my company and my brand. And now that I have the MBA, I look at it as, you know, it's cool. One day I might fall back on it. Things could change in the future, and it's just always good to have under your belt. And that lifelong dream of having like those letters, especially from a big time program like USC, having those under my belt, that's pretty cool. But last thing is, yeah, you know, you got to decide what path you want to take in life. If you feel like you want to spend the 3 years doing it and getting a better job and kind of stay in that lane, then I say you go for it. If you want to really be an entrepreneur and really be a businessman, I would think twice and encourage you not to do it. And definitely encourage you to go with self-help, self-education as much as you can. Mark Twain said, "I never let my schooling get into the way of my education." So he separated schooling from education, meaning that the real education comes from the world, from the work field, and from, you know, reading books that are like biographies or business books, and those kind of things are truly invaluable. Whereas the classroom education, I feel like it has a ceiling, it has a limit, and because it's trying to push 30, 40, 50, 100 people into one curriculum, into one direction, and into some kind of standardized project or some kind of standardized exam, like, you're really kind of limited in a sense. Whereas when you really are all into educating yourself, you could go a lot further. So that's my take, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't mean to offend anybody who, you know, is all about the program. It's just, I want to be honest and be helpful to the next man who asks me, hey, should I do my MBA? All right, signing out. Catch you soon.
Sean McCormick. Danish Kasamali.
Yeah! Okay!
Mazamel Ayaz. Ramon Garcia.
Out here. We did it, man. We did it. Woo! 3 years working, but we did it. All right, guys, here go the 2 degrees that I've earned over the years. San Diego State, 2009, undergraduate, international business. MBA, 2019, USC. And these are gonna be chilling on my wall at work. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you see my next video, all right? I'll see y'all soon.